pasties on.
And like how much, like compared to like the job you had before, what was the difference in terms of financials?
An insane amount. I mean, I was just like hosting, and I moved up to like waitressing at this family like ran restaurant, making like $9.49, I think was the minimum wage at the time. And like tips, which tips were good, but like they weren't like, they were like good for like a, like, 15 to 18-year-old for sure. But no, at the bikini coffee stands, I mean, realistically, people were at that time still just paying you just because you're like you look sexy. So like they would pay for their expensive drink, and then they would tip like 20 to 50, sometimes like $100, and that's it. Wouldn't even ask for anything.
In just like a 3-minute transaction?
Yeah. Damn. It was super quick, super busy all the time.
So like when you were that age, like what was like a big day financially?
I feel like the most I ever made in a day, like probably back then, was probably like $800-900 in a day,
for
just in
what,
tips.
an 8-hour shift or something?
Not even. Like these are like 5-hour shifts.
God, that's wild.
Yeah, but like that wasn't like all the time. My stand was very strict versus a lot of other stands. Back then, they still are. They're still around to this day, but there was 15 locations and now there's 3, because they're still running it the same way that they always have ran it. And the times have changed.
Yeah.
The times have changed a lot. So money there was like fine until like other people were noticing that like, oh, if I go to this stand, well, she shows me something for some money, like, for a little extra money. And so it just kind of started to dwindle down a little bit. And then I switched over to a different stand, and their rules were kind of pretty much the same. And like, it was busy, but not like how it is now. Like,
yeah.
it's so different. Like, I feel like back then it was like busier, like you'd have more customers, but now I have like less customers, but I make more.
Okay. So like today,
Mm-hmm.
generally speaking,
Yeah.
like if you were at like a great day is like $800 to $900, like what have you heard at least of people making on a comparable shift today?
Oof. Oh my gosh.
Like if you heard like a really good day for a girl or
today,
guy.
These days, I mean, people are making really good money these days. So,
Really?
like, to be honest, like a really fucking good shift to these days would be like anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 in a shift.
Damn.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, we did set up a Patreon for our podcast. So if you do want to check this out and support us, it's patreon.com/FNF pod. But God, $2,000 to $3,000. And it's straight cash, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
there's
just cash. Mostly cash. We try to encourage our customers to bring cash, especially because if you are tipping on card, most places make you take your tips out of your till at the end of your shift. And like if somebody wants to tip you like $100, $200, $300, it's
there's
like,
not always that.
There's not always that to like pull out, especially if it's multiple doing it.
And I'm sure reporting reasons too for people.
Also,
like,
yeah. Yes. I've definitely worked at some places that did not want us to ring in our cash transactions.
Yeah.
For whatever purpose they wanted us to do that for.
So for those types of places, like we were talking ahead of time about, generally speaking, these shows, like there's 2 menus at these places that exist.
Yeah.
What describe that for me? What a show is, or what it encompasses for someone.
So people will have, you're correct, a menu, and then like a secret menu as well. Typically people will have their prices for what they want to charge for someone to get flashed, whether it's like your boobs, your coochie, everything, whatever. Some people like charge to like for people to be able to jack off, like all of these things. People have their different prices. But yeah, that's kind of like was a big thing that started slowing down all of these like competing coffee shops that were like doing so well for a long time. And now like you'll see those coffee shops that didn't conform to that typically like are either out of business now or like have like little locations now at this point.
What is like when somebody does order that off the menu,
yeah,
are there just cars behind them? Like there's just a line of everybody's waiting for that person to finish?
Yeah. So, but shows are literally just a flash. So it's not like anything long. Mm-hmm. And typically it's a very quick thing. Like people will ask a girl for like, oh, do you do shows? Or they'll like ask if you have any specials, or they'll just whatever code they want to say it in. They'll ask, and the girl kind of usually will tell them the price. And then they usually just pay it like right there, like while they're paying for their drink. And then it's just like a quick flash of like 5 to 10 seconds and then just move on.
But if somebody's like paying for the, like to get themselves off, like does everybody just sit behind them waiting?
So one thing I will say, like I said about these days versus back in the day, things have definitely slowed down. So if you do have a line for some reason, like, I mean, in the mornings, it'll definitely be like super busy, but usually it's like a car at a time, like kind of thing, not super often with like lines anymore. But typically if somebody wants to pay for that, girls I know will not want to miss out on that money. So usually they'll just tell the customer to just like wrap back around, and customers usually have no problem doing that. So like pretty much they'll just kind of just loop around the stand and just go behind the line and just come back.
So what's the appeal of this though? Like it's 4:30 in the morning. Like I just can't understand. Like if I was on where most of these people going to on their way to work.
Yeah. So I will say a lot of, oh my gosh, I almost said, I mean, I guess you said I can say like whatever. So like a lot of like guys work really early in the morning. They usually like start at 5 or 5:36. So usually those are like guys that are coming by to get their coffee in the morning, and they usually want like coffee and a treat of some sort.
It's just such an aggressive way to start your day, isn't it? Like I mean, you had to like pound 2 white coffees. Like, are you mentally even like, I don't know, maybe I'm not like a morning sex person or whatever, because I know some people are for sure. They wake up, that's like the first. Yeah. I can't even eat in the morning. I'm so like out of my mind, just still trying to wake up.
Yeah, to be honest, like trying to think about it from the other end, I mean, like, I think women are beautiful. I think they're sexy. I think women are hot, all that jazz. Would I be up that early to go and get flashed by a bikini barista and pay like $50? No.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't. But then again, men think with their penises a lot more often than women think with their vaginas. So I feel like for men, the appeal just comes from like, I think a lot of people, especially when they start coming to bikini stands, at first they're just like, oh, I heard this crazy thing. Like, you know,
it's the mystique.
Yeah. And then they come by, and then like the more you talk to a girl, the more like open she gets. And oftentimes if a girl is doing shows, she'll at some point get comfortable with the customer enough to where she says something, or if they already like know, like a friend goes by there and then they like want to experience it, like, you know,
word of mouth.
And then just like, I don't know, it just, people get addicted to it, I guess.
Really?
But typically it's a lot of older men usually.
That makes sense.
So like I feel like a lot of those guys are either like guys with the wife at home where they're like just, you know, like they're settled, they're old, they're like, you know, they want to see something that excites them a little bit more these days, or like
it's just so crazy. They're doing that right before they go into their professional environment. Hey, if you like that video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and follow our page for new weekly content.